and welcome back to Core 4 Adventures. For anyone who's new, I'm Laura.
And I'm Carol, and today we are going to be bringing you our entire cruise review from our recent cruise to Bermuda on the NCL Getaway. We cruised out of New York City June 8th through the 15th, and we're going to tell you all about it if you're interested in taking this same cruise with NCL.
But first, if you get anything out of this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our content. And if you turn that notification bell on, it will let you know when we put out new stuff.
So first up, why did we book this cruise?
Well, neither Carol or I had ever been to New York City, and that was really enticing to us. We actually spent 3 full days in New York before we got on the cruise and look forward to seeing a recap of all of that and the New York City Pass next week.
Yeah, and on top of that, neither one of us had been to Bermuda. We were looking for a beach vacation. We wanted something tropical and something relaxing, and this itinerary offered us a mix of sea days and then 3 days in Bermuda. But the unique part about it is that they dock in Bermuda overnight. So the ship gets there and then it stays put. So you don't have to worry about getting back to the ship by a certain time in the afternoon, and that was really, really appealing to us.
We really loved the flexibility of that. If we didn't want to stay on the ship during those days, we just had to let them know on the 2 overnights ahead of time, and we could have easily stayed off the ship. The other really cool thing about Bermuda in particular is those beaches have a lot of pink sand on them, and we were excited to go and see that. We'd heard amazing things about the island, and we just were ready to go check it out.
And then finally, this was our first chance to cruise on the NCL Getaway, so it was a brand new ship for us, and we were really interested in checking it out. We've sailed on the Encore and the Escape before, which are both the Breakaway Plus class ships, but this was just the Breakaway class, so we wanted to compare how they were different, and we had a great experience.
We really did. We had several sea days, 3 sea days and embarkation days, so a total of 4 days out of the 7 were on the ship, and we looked very forward to being able to check out that new ship and, spoiler alert, the thermal suite. So let's dive right into the ship that we were on. We were on the NCL Getaway, and like we said, that's a Breakaway class ship. It has one sister ship, and that's the Breakaway. So those 2 ships are going to be incredibly similar. It was built in 2014, and it was refurbished in 2019. It holds just under 4,000 guests and just over 1,600 crew members.
So it's been about 6 years since it was refurbished, so it was kind of showing its age in a couple areas, but it is due for dry dock later in 2025, so it's going to be spruced up maybe by the next time it's sailing and you're looking to get on the Getaway. Overall, I really loved the layout. The Breakaway class ships are a little bit smaller than what we've experienced in the past, and so there were things that were missing, like there wasn't a wine bar. When we did the wine tasting and the cheese pairing, we did it in the Bistro, not the Cellar's wine bar. So that was something that was really different.
There also wasn't a district brew pub.
Yeah.
So that was something that was missing from it that we always had on the Breakaway Plus class ships.
But otherwise, it felt great. I loved the decor. One of the things that I really love about both the Breakaway and the Breakaway Plus class ships is the chandelier. There is a big chandelier that's a feature on all of those ships, and the one on the Getaway was just delightful. It was gorgeous. They have LED different colored lights that change as you are sailing, and it just is a special moment to walk through that area.
It was just stunning.
And it was right by the Mojito Bar, which is one of our favorite places to be.
Speaking of favorite places, what were your favorite places on the ship, Carol?
Well, obviously the thermal suite, since we spent so much time there. The thermal suite is just a great relaxing place to go on any of the NCL ships. It is an extra charge, but we figured with all of those sea days, this was the sailing that would make it worth it. One disappointment though, it didn't have the snow room. I like the snow room that's on the Encore and the Escape because if you're going into the sauna, it helps you cool down a little bit, and that was missing in the thermal suite on the Getaway. In fact, we kept looking for it, and we were like, where's the snow room? Are we missing this? But speaking of snow rooms, it did have that Skyy Vodka ice bar, which was pretty cool, no pun intended. I really enjoyed that experience.
You do have to make reservations for that experience. Don't do like we did and just assume that you can walk up to the ice bar and get in. You need to book an excursion kind of situation for that. Luckily, we went early enough in the cruise that they could get us on the last night, but if we had waited any longer, we might not have gotten to do the ice bar.
Absolutely. And one of my other favorite parts of the ship was our balcony cabin. We did have a balcony cabin for this sailing, and it was spacious. It was perfect for the two of us. It was the first time it was just a girls' trip, so we had the room configured with the 2 single beds, which was pretty unique. We each had our own bed. It was right by the balcony so that we could open the curtains and just watch the water as we were sailing by. The bathroom is always a highlight for me in those cabins. I think they do a really good job. I love the shower. There's plenty of room. It doesn't have a shower curtain, which is kind of icky. So I like the fact it has a shower door. It just really functions well.
And I think you've always had the couch next to the balcony before.
Yeah.
I've always had my bed next to the balcony, and I prefer that configuration. But this was something new for Carol.
And the balcony came in clutch for us when we were doing our sail away out of New York City. Because, first of all, sailing away out of New York City, the big highlight is you get to sail right past the Statue of Liberty. It's a not miss situation.
That was really cool.
Yeah. However, we were up on the top deck getting ready for sail away. We got our spot on the starboard side, and it started raining. And we were like, oh no, we're going to get drenched.
But then we remembered that we had a starboard balcony cabin, and so we just went to our room.
Yeah, we got to sit out on the balcony just by ourselves. We had a little bit of music playing to set the ambiance. We had gotten some Prosecco to toast the Statue of Liberty on our way by. And we kind of had our own little private sail away party, and it was delightful.
I saw a lot of other people on their balcony for the sail away, so I think that it was a very popular way to sail away from New York Harbor.
So, Laura, what were your favorite parts of the NCL Getaway?
Well, I think you definitely hit on some of my favorite parts, so I won't reiterate those, but I do have a few that you didn't mention. So in the middle of the ship, decks 6, 7, and 8 are all open to each other. That's where the chandelier is going to be. A lot of your specialty restaurants and bars are going to be in that area. The atrium with the atrium bar. You're going to hear a lot of live music in that section, and it's all open to each other. So there's lots of places to go and be and hear the music and have just a good time.
And people watch.
And
that's
people
really
watch.
important. That's great people watching in that area.
Now, the one downfall to that is the casinos part of that on deck 7. And on every other NCL ship I've ever been on, I haven't really smelled the smoke much from the smoking portion of the casino, and we really could on this one.
Yeah.
So we hope when they put it into dry dock, they definitely address that ventilation system, because you could smell that smoke on all 3 of those decks.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Now, also on deck 8 was one of my all-time favorite parts of the Getaway, and that's the waterfront.
Yeah, I love the waterfront. It is something really unique to NCL. Not all cruise ships, cruise lines have a deck like deck 8, the waterfront.
Exactly. It's what on the old ocean liners they would have called the promenade deck, and they've kept that alive. There's lots of great seating with a large overhang, so if it is raining, it's easy to go out there and still be outside and enjoy the weather without getting wet. It's got quiet places, and it's got outdoor seating for the restaurants and bars.
Yeah, you can dine al fresco on the waterfront, which is something really special. And you can't beat the views from there. You're right down there by the water itself. And we got some of the best views from deck 8 while we were on the ship.
And of course, you can't miss the pool deck.
Yeah.
That pool was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
We spent more time in the thermal suite this time, because that is one thing we've learned about getting a thermal suite pass. You're probably not going to spend as much time in other parts of the ship, but it was a nice pool deck. There were plenty of chairs. It was multiple levels. There were multiple hot tubs around the ship. So that was really nice too.
Yeah, but we didn't spend a ton of time out there because, like Laura said, we were in the thermal suite a lot. Let's talk more about the activities and the amenities that we enjoyed on board. I'm going to start off with Oceans. Oceans is the 24-hour restaurant on board and is kind of modeled after an Irish pub. That's where you can get food any time of the day. But what I really like about Oceans is a couple things. First of all, it's open to the atrium. So if they're doing like trivia games or any kind of fun games down in the atrium bar, you can take part in them. You can watch. You can enjoy it as well. And my favorite part of Oceans is over to the side, they've got a games area. And we always like to play some darts. There's a pool table. You've got air hockey. hockey and skee ball and video games, and they've even got a bowling alley. And on our final sea day, we spent a good couple hours there. Not a lot of people use this area, so it feels like a little bit of an oasis on the ship.
Speaking of oases, we can't go any further without talking about that thermal suite a little more. There's a lot of amenities within that thermal suite. The first one I want to touch on is the therapy pool. They have a therapy pool that has a bench at the back with lots of bubbles underneath, and you just sit there and relax. There's also jets on the side to massage your lower back and calves and feet. There's a section off to the side that's kind of like a hot tub
or a whirlpool,
but it's still that cooler water. There's a hot tub on the other side of the pool, and of course in the middle is a beautiful waterfall, but it's functional as well. If you stand under that waterfall, it will massage your neck and shoulders, and that is just heaven.
Yeah, who needs a massage when you've got the therapy pool?
I agree. And then on top of the therapy pool, they have a sauna, a sanarium, which is very similar to a sauna, but it's lower heat and higher humidity. Mm-hmm. They have a steam room. And of course, they have the hot stone loungers. We spent so much time on those hot stone loungers. I'm pretty sure other people were like, could you give us a chance to? But no, we really enjoyed those hot stone loungers. They have an amazing view from those loungers on this ship, and we laid there and read our books for hours.
Yeah, that's my favorite spot in the thermal suite for sure. And another great spot in the thermal suite is the salt bath. You can surround yourself with Himalayan pink salt crystals, and it just breathe the air and kind of detox. It's a really great place to sit and relax as well.
How could I forget that?
Yeah.
The salt bath is absolutely fantastic. There's lots of towels and robes for you. They even have a little section where you can get cold drinks, water and infused water, or hot drinks like hot tea.
And fruit. And of course, the locker rooms are great as well. Here's a great hint. If you are in a room with maybe more than one other person, if your cabin, you're sharing it with a group, you get the thermal suite pass and you can go take a shower in a really large shower and a great big place to get ready. And you don't have to kind of share the shower and your bathroom in your cabin. That's a definite hint.
So moving on, we also did a couple of activities on the ship, and what we did was the wine tasting with the cheese pairing. They offer several different wine tastings on board, including wine tasting with tapas and black glass wine tasting. We did that on another cruise and did not do that great, so keep that in mind.
We failed miserably.
But the wine and cheese tasting was absolutely perfect for the two of us. We had so much fun.
Yeah.
We met some other people in the wine and cheese tasting, and we even found one of our favorite wines, the 66 by Norwegian sparkling wine.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. In fact, I would do that again the next time we sail with NCL.
Even if it's the same wines and cheese, I still think I'd enjoy it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Highly recommend that one. Another event that we partook in was the Skyy Vodka Ice Bar. Now, this is a really something special on the NCL Getaway that we haven't had the opportunity to do on any of the other ships we've been on. It is an ice bar. The bar is made out of ice. So first of all, you line up and they give you like a poncho, a hood to keep you warm. It's like a blanket with a hood on it. You get gloves and they take you inside, and the bar is made out of ice. There's ice sculptures all around. There's even benches made out of ice that you can sit on. There's a throne made out of ice that you can sit on and take some fun pictures. And they serve you drinks with Skyy vodka in a glass that is made out of ice. It was such a fun and unique experience. We really, really enjoyed it. It was a small extra charge. So was the wine and cheese tasting, but we didn't mind because it was such a great experience. Now, some of the things that we wanted to do that we didn't get a chance to do on the NCL Getaway were things on the upper deck, and that's because the weather didn't cooperate.
So they had a ropes course, they had mini golf, but the day we wanted to do that on the last day, the weather wasn't conducive and they had a rope up and you just couldn't even go up there.
Yeah, but we did enjoy some of the nightlife on the ship. We went to the Glow Party, we went to the 80s party, and we spent a lot of time at Howl at the Moon, which is the dueling pianos. That was a fun place to spend the evening. We made friends. We just had a good time.
If you're a night owl and you're looking for something to do on an NCL ship, almost all of them have that Howl at the Moon dueling pianos. It is so much fun. Take a little money for a tip, choose a song, put it on the paper, and they'll play your song for you, and you'll have so much fun.
Yeah, that was a blast.
So up next, let's talk about our itinerary and embarkation process. We left from the Manhattan terminal. There are actually a couple of different places that you can leave from New York City, but we chose the Manhattan terminal because it was where the getaway was. It was super easy and convenient to get there. We took a taxi, we pulled right up, and the porter got our bags before we even got out of the car. We gave him a little tip, and off we went.
Yeah, security was a breeze, check-in was a breeze, and then we had to wait maybe 45 minutes before they called our group number to get on board. But it wasn't long at all, and it was nice to just sit there and relax.
And that's pretty typical.
Yeah.
For every cruise we've been on, you're going to get through that embarkation process and then have to wait just a little bit of time before you can get on the actual ship. But we got on by lunchtime.
Yeah.
We sat and ate our lunch in one of the main dining rooms. We had a cocktail when we first got on.
We did our muster check-in right away to get that out of the way. And we were one of the first people that got called to go down to our cabins, our staterooms, so that we could start unpacking and get settled in for the week, which is one of my favorite parts about cruising, is that your room stays the same for the entire week of the vacation. So you can unpack. You don't have to pack and move your bags from place to place to place.
It is. It's one of my favorite things too, because it's like you have a floating hotel room.
Yeah.
And speaking of it being a floating hotel room, when we got to Bermuda, we were there for 2.5 days.
Yeah.
We got there early in the morning one day. We were there that entire overnight, a second overnight, and did not have to be back on the ship until 2:30 in the afternoon on the third day.
So if you wanted to, you could stay at an Airbnb or a hotel in Bermuda. You don't have to stay on the ship. NCL doesn't force you to. Even though you've already paid for that hotel room, you have a lot of freedom on that Bermuda cruise. Let's talk about what we did in Bermuda. So day one in Bermuda, we got up early and we booked an excursion with the cruise line. And we went to the Crystal Cave.
Yes, the excursion was called Caves and Waves. So we started at the Crystal Cave. There's actually 2 caves there. We only went to Crystal Cave, but there's also Fantasy Cave. So if you really like caves, you could book something that did both of those on your own. I don't think NCL goes to Fantasy Cave. Yeah. And then when the cave tour was over, we went to a beach.
Yeah, they took us to Clearwater Beach and we walked over to Turtle Beach and we just floated. It wasn't a lot of snorkeling in that area, but we just floated in the water. The water is an unreal shade of turquoise blue. I still can't even believe that was real. The sandy beach was just lovely. The water was cool. It was just a beautiful sunshiny day. There was a beach bar nearby where we got to have lunch and a cocktail, and we were back on the ship by the afternoon so that we could rest and get ready for dinner that night.
And maybe spend a little more time in that thermal suite.
So the next day we went out on our own. We slept in. First of all, we had a lie-in in the morning, maybe went to the thermal suite before we left the ship. And then we caught a taxi to take us to the big beach in Bermuda that everybody wants to see, Horseshoe Bay Beach.
Right. They say Horseshoe Bay Beach is one of the most beautiful beaches in the world and the most beautiful one in Bermuda. And I have to agree. It was absolutely gorgeous.
There was a lot of fish to see, though. The snorkeling was pretty good. And that is really where I saw the pink sand beaches the most. And I hope it comes through in our footage that we can share with you. But I could really tell that it was a pink sand beach. It felt pretty amazing to pick up the beach, the sand, and see the pink coral in there. And that's all due to the parrotfish that are native to the islands of Bermuda.
Yes, and speaking of parrotfish, on day 3, we went to Snorkel Bay Beach, right in the port so that we weren't too far from the ship, since we did need to be back by 2:30, and we saw a parrotfish.
Yeah, it was so special. We started off, there's a free shuttle around the naval dockyards, and we took that shuttle. We stopped at the pharmacy. A huge hint is there's a pharmacy right there in the naval dockyards, and they had a huge selection of souvenirs, and they were probably at more reasonable prices. So if you're looking for souvenirs, you're looking for a wide variety, go to the pharmacy. Sounds weird, but trust me. And then we went to the Snorkel Beach and just had a great time. Lots and lots of fish to see in the Snorkel Beach. I also really liked how they had umbrellas, thatched roof umbrellas in the water. So you could be in the water but out of the sun at the same time. It did have an extra charge. I think it was about $25 a person to get into that area that day, but it was well worth it.
We paid $25 a person, but then when we showed up, it was $15 a person at the actual Snorkel Bay Beach. So we made pre-reservations, but maybe pre-reservations aren't necessary. I think I would wait and just go to the beach that day.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how busy it is, and it wasn't that busy that day.
And if you're looking for snorkeling, stay to the left at the jetty. There were so many fish there, but there weren't really in other places at the beach.
And if you don't have your own snorkel gear, you can rent it there. We bring our own with us, so we had it available, but they do have it for rent as well.
And that's a really cool trick that we do. We got our snorkel gear on Amazon for about $40 each, and we've used it so many times. Usually to rent it for several days is that much, and then you never have to worry about it being anybody else's gear and how well it works because you have your own.
And then when we were done snorkeling, we got back on the ship, and then we were setting sail back to New York City. We had one more sea day before we were back on the States. Next up, let's hit the important stuff, and that is the food. So we had the More at Sea package, which meant with a balcony cabin that we had access to 3 specialty dining restaurants, and we love the specialty dining on NCL. We went to Le Bistro, the French restaurant, which is our all-time favorite. We went to Cagney's, which is the steakhouse, and we went to La Cucina, which was the Italian restaurant.
There are lots of other specialty restaurants on that ship, so if those aren't your speed, definitely look around because everybody gets a little bit of specialty dining depending on what cabin they're in. And there's something for everyone.
And if you don't have the specialty dining credits, you can still go to the specialty dining rooms. They now have just a flat cover charge for each one, and each one's a little bit different. So make sure you just ask, and it could be just a simple flat fee to go have dinner there that evening.
Right. At this moment, the flat fee is somewhere between $40 and $60, depending on the restaurant that you want to go to. So you could eat specialty restaurants for every meal if you really wanted to, at least every dinner. They're not usually open for breakfast or lunch.
So if we were going to talk about the specialty dining restaurants, Le Bistro for us is the best. We love the French restaurant. We love trying delicacies like escargot, the filet. The desserts there are out of this world. Cagney's, being a steakhouse,
Cagney's is definitely the most popular venue on the ship. So if you want to go to Cagney's, make sure to get those reservations right away. We almost missed getting to go to Cagney's this time. That would have been awful. At Cagney's, the prime rib is the best, although I've had the filet several times and that was really good too. And do not skip that OMG butterscotch cheesecake if they have it. It is well worth it.
Although our server did bring us out the 7-layer chocolate cake in addition to the cheesecake. We had a lot of dessert that night, and I really liked that as well. They've got a great wine selection there. It's just a great dinner overall.
And speaking of that 7-layer chocolate cake, we found that you could get that on the room service menu. Now, room service does cost something on NCL ships, but it certainly doesn't cost for the actual food. You're going to pay $4.99 for breakfast to be delivered to your room, or $9.95 for any other time for food to be delivered to your room.
Yeah, and don't hesitate to do room service. We like to do it in the morning for breakfast if we have an early departure time from the ship. We got some snacks during the afternoon just to, for a little treat yourself. But yeah, it's a great way to take advantage of that.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I was still in the thermal suite. Carol had gone back to the room and ordered us a little cheese plate and a piece of that chocolate cake, which is delightful. And it was a fun thing to come back to the room for.
The final specialty dining restaurant that we dined at was La Cucina. I will say service was very slow that night. And yeah.
But I think that it did have something to do with some other guests trying to squeeze their reservations in a little earlier than they were booked for. So I can't blame them for that too much. I do just wish that the hostess had told them no, because I feel like our customer service suffered because they were there.
I agree. They just were understaffed for the number of tables that they had. And so that dinner took a long time. The food was decent though. I love the Italian food. But yeah, it just was a long drawn out dinner. And we were trying to get to the evening show, which we're going to talk about the entertainment in just a moment.
So those are the specialty restaurants, but the main dining rooms are fantastic too. Yeah. There are 3 main dining rooms on the Getaway. There's the Manhattan room where you're often going to get live music while you eat, especially at dinner. And then of course there's Taste and Savor that mirror each other, and we actually found Taste and Savor to be where we gravitated to more than the Manhattan room.
Yeah.
It feels very private, very secluded at your table, and you don't feel like you're on a ship with 4,000 other people.
It feels like a really nice small restaurant. In addition to the main dining rooms, you could go to the buffet. We're just not buffet people, so we avoid that. But we did go to 2 of the included restaurants that are not the main dining room. We went to Oceans, which we've already talked about. It's the Irish pub. They've got food 24/7. It's pub food, but it's a great for an afternoon snack, lunch. They serve breakfast if you get up late, and that's really nice.
And I even had a late night snack one night.
Oh, yeah. You got to have the raspberry cheesecake brownie. Trust us. And of course, if they're serving it, I'm always getting the spinach artichoke dip. And then we had breakfast at the American Diner one day. American Diner used to be a specialty dining restaurant with an extra charge, but now it is included for all of the people sailing on the ship. They had like a little breakfast spread that we enjoyed one day when we got up too late to hit the main dining room.
That is one thing to think about on the NCL ships. I wish that they had a little more variety for the time of breakfast, but if you sleep in too late, you're going to miss that breakfast.
So Laura, what was your favorite thing you ate? If you had to pick one thing on the cruise, what was your favorite thing that you ate?
That's tough. I think between that butterscotch cheesecake and the filet.
Yeah, I would say the prime rib at Cagney's was so good, but nothing beats the filet at Le Bistro for me. It is just so delicious. I wish they still had the foie gras on top of it because that was really special, but they don't. They haven't had it the last few sailings that we've been on. I don't think it was as popular as I enjoy it, and I love the escargot.
So up next, let's talk about the entertainment on the ship. You're going to be on that ship for several days at a time, especially if you're cruising to Bermuda. So what do you get to do and see on the ship? The big production on the NCL Getaway was called Bring Back the 90s, and we absolutely had a blast. Now, we are Gen X. The 90s was our generation where we were in our 20s, so it was a great time for us.
We loved it.
We liked it so much that we went and booked it for the other day that it was on, and we went twice.
Yeah, totally. We went and saw it twice. The first time we were kind of far away from the stage, and the last time we were front row. We liked it that much. On top of that, they did in the big auditorium have the Rumors show. That used to be just in Sid Norman's. It's basically a cover band does the entire album from Fleetwood Mac from start to finish, and it's become so popular that they moved it to the main stage. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for us to go see it because we are big Fleetwood Mac fans. I would have loved that, but it just didn't work out in our schedule this time. Maybe next time we'll get a chance to see that.
But there's lots of other entertainment on the ship. There's usually a guy playing the piano either in the atrium or at the mojito bar.
Yeah.
And of course, late nights, there's Howl at the Moon dueling pianos in the comedy club.
Yeah, and we loved it. We went there so many of the nights because it was just so much fun. It was more our speed. We did go to the big parties a couple times. We went to the Glow party. That was pretty packed. We went to the 80s dance party. And
we had a ball at that 80s dance party. That was, again, right in our wheelhouse.
That was all out at Spice H2O, which is one of the upper decks. But most of the nights we landed in the Howl at the Moon show to wrap things up because that was just more of our speed.
There's also a DJ in the bar attached to the casino if you like a little more modern, up-to-date music. Although Howl at the Moon, they'll play just about anything if they know it.
Yeah, but if you want to dance, go hang out with the DJ. Our next topic is service and staff. It wouldn't be the experience that you have on a cruise without the staff to really make it special. They take such good care of you. We had some great experiences with NCL staff, starting with our room steward.
Ernejo was our room steward, and he was fantastic. He knew our names. He spoke to us every day. He wished us to have a great day. We came back, and our room was immaculate every time.
Anything that we needed, he took care of for us. We felt just such great service out of Ernejo. We really appreciated him so much. And we had a favorite server at our restaurants as well.
Yes, we met her on the very first day at the very first meal, and she also served us at Le Bistro that night, and her name was Ira, and she was super sweet. She called herself Gretel, but her real name was Ira.
And she hung out with us a lot throughout the week. She was I think we were her favorites as well as she was ours. On top of that, we had some great bar staff. There was so much fun, especially up near the pool deck at the bar in between Taste and Savor as well.
And in the atrium bar.
Yeah.
And those guys have a great time, but also don't forget to tip your bar staff and tip them early in the cruise, and it will make a difference in the service that you get.
Yeah, they'll remember you throughout the cruise if you tip them on day one. So that's a good hint for you. But overall, I think that the staff were just wonderful. If there's one thing that we would say is that in the restaurants, they did seem to be a little light on staff.
Right. It felt like they were spread just a little bit thin. Everyone was doing their best, and we definitely got good service, but it did take a little while to get through a meal because it felt like there just weren't quite enough staff. I know NCL has scaled back their staffing a little bit, and I think that's one of the areas that they maybe need to look at and revisit.
Yeah, it was definitely a difference based on our past cruises than this one, that it was just a little bit slower in all of the dining venues. But overall, we had a great time. We really appreciate how well we are taken care of on all of the NCL ships.
It's definitely the staff that make the cruise. So overall, we had an absolutely fabulous time. We loved New York. We loved Bermuda. We're already talking about the fact that Pepper didn't get to go on this trip, so we have to get back soon so that he can see Bermuda. And of course, before we finish, we want to show you all of our souvenirs. Now, Carol and I always get refrigerator magnets and Christmas tree ornaments on our trips, and so I'm going to start by showing you some of our refrigerator magnets, starting with our little fish from NCL Getaway. It even says Getaway right here, and how cute is that?
So this is a whole magnet series that NCL has. We've also got the one for the Escape. We need to get the one for the Encore. We forgot to get that when we were on board, but we're going to start collecting these and putting them on our magnet board because they're just too cute.
And the one from the Escape is a little bear, but the one from the Getaway, we got the little fish. And then, of course, we went to Bermuda, so we got this little magnet. Isn't that adorable with the little flip-flops? And we didn't get to see any turtles, but we did go to Turtle Beach, so we got this one for our third refrigerator magnet. Love the little turtles. Would have loved to have gotten to see a turtle, but maybe next time.
Yeah, and us for the Christmas tree ornaments, this one it was a beach vacation. So this one says Bermuda. It's like a sand dollar with a beach scene on it. Super cute. And then this one is also a beach scene with the umbrella and the chair. It's just the sand castles. It'll help us remember this trip forever. We love to get Christmas tree ornaments as souvenirs because every year when we put up our Christmas tree, we get to remember all of our travels. And we don't buy a ton of souvenirs, but these are what we got on this trip.
Now, do you have great experiences in Bermuda that you'd like to share with us? We'd love to hear it in the comments section below.
And are you thinking about taking a cruise to Bermuda? Because if you have any questions about it that we didn't answer today, drop them in the comments and we'll be sure to get back to you. We really hope that this was useful for you today, that you enjoyed hearing about our experience on the NCL Getaway. Overall, we would recommend it to anyone. We can't wait to go back.
And we can't wait to see you next time on Core 4 Adventures. Thanks so much.
Bye!